Good morning. This is Allegra Stuart and Lekan Babalola, and we are here with Back to the Real Conversations with Artists. And the question that I always love to ask, first of all, I'm in New Orleans, and Lekan, where are you?
I'm in Birmingham, in England.
All right. So that's what we're going to start off with right now. But my first question always when I ask people is without giving up too much information, Lacan, how do we know each other?
Well, through a mutual friend called Bimbo Esho. She's a high life high life music curator in Lagos. And that's how we know each other.
And can you tell me, since that's the kind of the first thing, um, who are you and what does high life mean to you? What does high life mean? Because many people maybe in the audience don't even know what that is. I know that you know, and I know, and I'm learning even more. But that's one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to you because you are a musician, you're an educator, you're an artist, you're a researcher, all of those things. But I want to hear from your side what you feel that you are and
My name is Lekan Babalola. I am currently a creative arts fellow at Wolfusing College, which is part of University of Oxford in England. I am a musician and conceptual artist, meaning I work with text, visual art, and sound. And I've been doing this for the last maybe 4 decades. I'm a Yoruba. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, and I've been living in England for the last 4.5 decades. And I traveled between here and around the world. And then I set up a foundation of Yoruba Contemporary Arts Trust to foster and develop Yoruba contemporary arts in the diaspora. So I research around the Yoruba diaspora spaces.
And
Uh,
how has this been something that obviously is creating a foundation and doing research and things like that on the side of being an artist? How has this been really important to you? Because I know a lot of artists are into other things, but they don't go as far as to creating a foundation and things of that nature. Tell us why it's that important to you.
when I left art college and film school, finished my master's, and I felt the need to have a foundation that will look and examine the influence of the Yoruba arts and culture around the world, but not just in the tradition, how it has evolved into the contemporary and influenced the popular art of today's popular art in any society, but particularly in the Western hemisphere of where the Yoruba people migrated to, and which highlight uh, is the West African form of, let's say, the world jazz that happened in New Orleans. So high life is that art form that happened in West Africa, particularly in Sierra Leone, where the African returnees returned to when they came back to West Africa after the transatlantic movement. High life is that art form, is that cultural expression of Western harmonies and African sensibility in terms of rhythm, where they merge. So sound, visual text, and it's the post colonial sound tapestry for West Africa for during the times of Nkrumah, the West African independent countries, independent from the colonial ruling. So if they are Americans, the Black Americans have jazz as the civil rights soundtrack, then the West African will have high life as their music for colonial, post-colonial movement.
And every people have that kind of back to the real moment with their music because music is the identifier of what's going on at that time, right? And so that's why when I'm teaching, as you know, I'm a teacher, I always emphasize how important jazz is as a foundation and genre in all of these musics because it informs and it helps the foundation of all these other music, like you were saying, in the contemporary music space.
Yes, it's very, very important because that time it's the same thing that happened in Franco-speaking Africans country where negritude was formed. So it's like an expression of that resistance of the African people to the colonial ruling and their own identity as well.
So, with that being said, I know you also because you are that perfect match between that concept of the high life combining with the Western African music and history, but also because you are into a lot of formations of jazz in the United States, correct?
Yes, I for a very very long time I've been studying the Black American sensibility that came to West Africa, particularly Lagos. I was born um, that people like Bobby Benson, that we call the Duke Ellington of Lagos, of Nigeria at that time, and Fela Kuti, and gospel music, that education I received from my father. And my father was a choir master of the church. He played accordion. So is that study that I've had for so many years. Also working with Art Blakey as a PA in London. I work with Cassandra Wilson as a researcher and later as a percussionist in a band. So I've been studying the Black American form for a long time, which made me became maybe a young scholar of that sensibility and keep still working with them. People like Bill Summers. I work with Ferry Sanders, Charles Floyd, and Donald Harrison, uh, Prince, and many, many Black Americans who are fusing the African sensibility in their work.
And so, which is really fascinating and interesting. And obviously, you have so much more to share with us today in this interview. But when I met you and was talking with you, and I know most of the time it wasn't talk, but chat, sending me things that I should study and learn about and things like that. When you talk about Yusef Lateef, who I had the honor of working with in UMass at the Jazz in July. He was somebody also in his life who went to, I want to say Ghana, but I also think it was Nigeria to study reed instruments. I'm not sure. Was it Nigeria or was it Ghana?
Yes, it was in Zaria. It was in the north. Yusuf Latif was in northern Nigeria
Okay, northern
because
Nigeria.
he was that generation of the avant-garde period of
Mm-hmm.
jazz. So
Mm-hmm.
one of those Black American who followed the Muslim tradition and the Muslim music of the northern Nigeria. So he went there to study, and he was a lecturer at Ahmadu Bello University in Zaire.
Okay. And so, and I know that there are other musicians who have done that. So you're the first one that I know who's like the opposite direction, the African artist coming to United States to study more of that jazz connection. But we have a lot of African Americans going, and even to this day. And I think that now it's becoming more and more of a focus because it's important when people are understanding how important it is and how important the music even now coming out of Africa is important. So you have a lot of these institutions trying to um work with students or work with organizations to try to make that happen. But you're on a deeper level because you're actually doing the research and actually doing the walk and the talk for over, as you say, 4 decades. What more can you tell us about how that intersects with your actual visual arts?
Okay, I've just written a book which is called The Sacred Art of Oduifa, which is the divination sign of the Yoruba people of West Africa that is extended to the African diaspora places like Cuba, Brazil, and some parts of the Americas.
Say the name of the book again, please.
The name of the book is called Sacred Art of Oduifa. Sacred Art of Oduifa. And the book is kind of the extension of the exhibition I curated called 16 Pieces, which is the divination sign as well, expressed by 17 artists around the world. So in my book and my painting, I painted abstract like Jackson Pollock. So it's a multimedia piece, which is the book, the visual arts, the text, and the poetry of the Ifa verses, and also interpreting all those poetry and sound and the song into contemporary composition.
How many
Right.
verses are there?
It's 16 chapters. So because the Odu Ifa is 16 major Odu times another minor 256, making 256 in total, minor 240. So
And
what
that
I've done,
that's why I asked because I have this wonderful old book that I got when I was at UMass studying. Was in the bookstore, and I think it's named Nymark who wrote this book, and it has those IFA chapters, but it, like you said, ends up to be 200 and something.
that's right. So what I've done is 16 major principle, and then we've performed it before. But what led me to it is a dream I have. In that dream, that John Coltrane, who's been my muse for a long time, who turned 100, posthumous 100 years this year, his birthday is will be John Coltrane will be 100 years. So John Coltrane told me, instructed me in that dream that the Yoruba thinking idea should be present in the 21st century. So, and I think the memory of jazz, improvisation, everything is those kind of influence that Africans carried them with them to the new world. Those hallmark, and that's why when I come to United States, I'm tracing the steps of those Africans who were enslaved in captivity. I'm not doing anything straight. I'm just tracing the steps and reimagining those steps through multimedia arts. So that's what I'm doing.
And that's very powerful, because, it seems like we have a crisis of remembering that we have ancestors and
Right.
that the ancestors have gone through all these different things, and some are very profound that could be teachable,
Mm,
and as you say, inform artistic endeavors to kind of connect us, to be able to wake us up, to be able to have those dreams. Danilo Perez did something similar as he did that album, The Journey. It was based on a dream he had,
mhm,
not from John Coltrane, but of his ancestors. And
mhm.
that whole album came from that dream that he had, and he created that great piece of work that I think we can argue was one of his most profound pieces of work, The Journey. I can't remember when that was released, but anyway, I do know it was based on a dream that he had, kind of like what you were saying. You had a dream, and somebody spoke to you, and I think dreams can come to us only when we are relaxed and kind of in that state, right? You can't be all like amped up and on processed food and all this kind of stuff. You have to be kind of closer to that natural state in order to be able to dream and to have that access, like you were saying, to create this. But you created with multiple people. Tell me more about that. How did that come about?
Well, I've been nursing the idea and the argument. I came to America maybe 27 years ago when I left film school to meet C.O. Simpkin, who wrote the biography of John Coltrane. In it, he argued that the tonal sound of John Coltrane saxophone, the tonal sound of it, is very resemble of the Yoruba tonal language. So, and I've been searching tracks that John Coltrane wrote, like Ogunde, like the Psalm. There are few things that I've kind of tried to argue that Ogunde would have been a Yoruba ancestry, and so I've kind of marked Ogunde, John Coltrane, like Ogun, Ogun kind of character, which is kind of a forge, an harbinger who pioneered his work and his life for millions and millions of his own people. So I see him as a forger, as a forerunner, and that generation of jazz musician. So I'm kind of playing on the character of Ogun as a forger, as the harbinger, as the forerunner. So that's where I'm playing with. That's where I'm playing with John Coltrane, in as a Yoruba pantheon, as Ogun, the character and metal through saxophone, and the sound that he has created is very spiritual. And the whole album of Love Supreme is based on acknowledgement of who you are, of your environment, of your lineage, of your family, of yourself. And once you've done that, you have to have a perseverance, you know, it's in that album, Love Supreme. And then you come to time, resolution, you know, of life, of who you are, of acceptance. And then the grace is the sound of whatever you want to do is infinity. Yeah.
Including going through the world and meeting people
Yeah.
and doing all of that. So, like, I'm touched by you. Other people where who you're working are touched by you, spark different things and have different things happening. And that, I guess, is really the highest spot that you need to be in. I have a brother who's a professor who always says there are stages.
Mhm.
And oh, it's raining. It's raining. And somebody spoke. Um, I think we're gonna be okay though. And this one stage is to share, open. agitate other people's minds through discourse or, as you say, argument or just different ideas. And that really is a wonderful place to be because after all of that studying and researching and going through some things yourself, you're able to share and able to give some information to other people. Oh, okay. Um, I think we're going to be okay. I keep on saying that. That's really what's going to happen.
Right.
I think we are. We're under a thing. Okay. As you know, it's like any kind of tropical place. It rains and then it stops. Anyway, moving on. And I think you already answered it because I was going to ask, does your process change when you're dealing with oral or if you're dealing with visual things? But you kind of spoke on that already. But I guess my question now is, how do you decide which is worthy of researching and putting forth and being archived in a way because your exhibitions obviously that's an archive, your writings are archives of stories and information. So how do you decide what is worthy of that and what should be left out, say?
Um, I kind of don't decide really. I kind of do a lot of talking with people,
Mm-hmm.
either people in current affairs, general, when I travel, and social media. I kind of do my own research and come to a conclusion of what is needed. And I have consortium of artists that I work with, team of artists. And it's from that kind of filtering discussion that I come to a space that this might be interesting. This might worth following up. I can't hear you. Hello? 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 Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. It's just that it's been it just downpoured. I needed to get out of the rain.
Okay.
So tell me anything else that you want to share about you and
It depends on what
tell
you
me
would like.
about your latest musical project
Okay, the latest musical
because
project I'm doing is
you came to New Orleans and you were involved in a musical project here and actually when I was away you were here when I that happened a couple of times and then finally we were here at the same time. Tell us more about that and why New Orleans as opposed to I don't know Cuba or Brazil, some other places that you have gone to do these projects.
okay. There's a producer called Joe Cassell who is a dance label producer in New York, and
Yes, I know.
he asked me if I would like to do a record for their label, but working with they want it to be a percussive led album. So the idea is to work with people like a percussionist and composer, people like Bill Summers, uh, who's a percussionist and he wrote roots music, and many, many hits records. And the idea is to do a percussion album that resonates the works of people like Babatunde Olatunji, who was the African ambassador in America one time, and great percussion memory album. So Bill Summers was chosen as the producer for me to lead the creativity. And also the project is bringing a tribute song to a DJ, Fumi Ononaye, who died in New York, who is a friend of this uh, record DJ producer. So I came to New Orleans, and I've been coming to New Orleans many, many years before to work with great drummers like Helen Riley, and I came one time to do a project called the Root of Jazz with people like Jason Marsalis, drummer. So I work with Bill Summers. So it's to continue the working relationship with people like Bill Summers, Helen Riley. So I came to New Orleans in January this year to start that foundation of that album, which is about 12 songs that we're working on. And this time around, about 4 weeks ago, I came back to feature Helen Riley on two tracks with Bill
Nice.
Summers' continuation as a producer, and also feature a jazz singer who lives uh, in Jackson, Mississippi, Miss Cassandra Wilson, who I've worked
Yes.
with for over 30 years.
The great Miss Cassandra Wilson.
And so this work is still in progress. So this is going to be a tribute album project that me leading as a creative artist and Bill Summers as a creative producer.
It's always magical working with producers who are slash DJs because once you do your work and you send
Yes,
it off and you give them the stems of your vocal or whatever, as I have before, you're always surprised, pleasantly surprised of how
yes,
they creatively think about your contribution to the project. Um, and so the title of this talk is called Back to the Real and is actually a track I did with a DJ slash producer, Matt Derry, out of the UK years
uh-huh,
ago. And so when I wrote that song, I don't know how long ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, it just seemed like the suitable soundtrack
uh-huh,
for these talks because I know that I am feeling like, let's go back to the roots, let's go
uh-huh,
back to the foundations of things. Let's go back to that. But on top of that, like what you're doing with this project and kind of like what I did with Matt Derry was mix the new with the foundational old,
yes,
and come up with something new and
yes,
refreshing that still has the foundation of,
yes,
whenever I'm singing, obviously I'm a jazz singer, whenever I'm singing, whatever project I'm doing, you can't strip that jazz training or jazz, authenticity out of me. And no matter what I'm doing, whether it's house vocals or whether
mhm,
it's, a field holler or whatever
mhm,
it is, it still has that, as they say, that jazz tinge to it, because that's been my foundation. And as we have learned, that's like nature or nurture. Well, I
mhm,
guess it's nature, right? Without going into detail. And so I think that's the beauty right now of what I'm interested in with music and projects that I hear. So I can't wait
mhm.
to hear this project because
Yeah,
it's indicative really of using some foundational things and creating it to something new and fresh to kind of have people doing things.
yes.
So tell me a little bit more. We only have about 9 minutes.
Okay,
And I asked my artists also to give me some music that's already released and copyrighted, of course,
Okay.
that they like. So when we do air this on 16 by 16 radio, Victoria Island in Nigeria, people will get to hear some things that you have touched over the years and get a sense of you. So that is your latest project. What is something that a goal that you had that you really feel was an amazing moment? And then also, what do you feel like your legacy will be?
Well, I think my legacy will be the work I've done so far, and I've just worked with a quartet over here in England, and they won the Cuba Disco Grammy in Cuba last year, January, for the album that was released called Tales of Orisha by Sacred Funk Quartet, part of the founder of that.
And
I
I've
think,
heard it. It's amazing. It's
yeah,
wonderful. You get to hear those songs in your arrangements and in your performance. So it's really good for anybody who a dancer, a
right.
singer, they're able to catch on really quick. It's beautiful.
And I think is to continue learning. I want to continue improving myself till I die as an artist. I think that would be my legacy. I'm not there yet, and is to continue improving every day. And so when I go, I think the legacy I want to go is I want people to say that I tried. You know, that's I tried. I didn't get it, but at least I tried. That's the legacy. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing because I know we don't want to say it, but we all know people who don't try, right? We
Yeah.
do. And and I think the more you try, the closer you do get some things right, right?
Mm.
And I think it's better to try than to just think about it or ponder about it. I mean, I talk about this a lot with some people, colleagues of mine and things like that, even teachers, and they have these great ideas, but they are afraid
Hmm.
and they won't do these things. And it's like there's only one of us. There's only
Hmm.
one person like you. There's only one person like me. Why not try? You
Yeah.
learn quicker when you do things than when you don't do them. And
Yes.
so I just feel like in meeting you, you are able to give me some sorry, little bug after the rain. Advice and send me things and say you should look at this or you should read this or whatever. And that's what happens when you meet people who have gone through things, who know some things, who have taken a risk, who have taken chances. And those are the people that you go back to again and again. They have life in them. And I think everybody would feel good about themselves if, like you said, you just try and you did the best you
Yeah.
can. And I would like to say that you've done very well with your
Thank you very much.
trying. Right? So we can all say that you've done very well and you're trying. So
Thank
we
you.
we want more of that. So, and I think also when people meet people like you, they want to try too. Right? They
Yes.
want to, they want to learn a little bit more and they get inspired. And I can say that from myself. I definitely have been inspired from you. I know I was a little um in my space, and we all know why in the beginning. And so
Yeah.
I can honestly say, yes, I might not have always sounded like that, but definitely in the background, always searching and always learning, definitely learning from you, from the
Thank you
things
very
that
much.
you have shared. So I appreciate that. And that's the kind of person who I think we all really cherish.
Yes. Yes.
So in the last few minutes, is there anything that you want to say? Any kind of that doesn't have to be about music or creating or artistic things. And then I guess my last question is, how did you get here?
I give thanks to my parents uh, for meeting and listening to one another so I can be here. I think without God and my parents who listen to one another, I don't know how they do it, but that's how I got here. And it's I don't know where I'm going yet.
Does that mean that you were well behaved as a youngster?
Yes, I grew up in a Ladra church environment, you know, in Lagos, Nigeria, and I came to England through a scholarship and still studying, always studying. I've just got an admission to do further studies at University of London, African Studies, MA,
Congratulations.
and yeah, yes, I have to keep studying. Yeah.
Ooh, I have to unmute my. And what would you recommend for people who want to do what you're doing, who have kind of neurodivergent people, because you're very skilled and high level at many things. And I know in America, they're encouraged just to do one thing and, fool around with that. And of course, lots of people are end up being disgruntled and things. So what is your recommendation for that and kind of balancing all of those things?
Well, it's to love that thing first, and then other things we attach to it. You have to just focus on one thing and be committed to it, just one. And then, because one thing is the multiplication of many, one thing will lead to another thing, another thing, another thing. So it's to start on one thing sincerely and focus and dedicate and passion and hard work and commitment, you know, and be oneself to that one thing. So it's like you have a friend, be honest with that thing. Yeah.
I agree. I've noticed in my life from even from the beginning doing things and then people end up reaching out to you because they know that you want to do it, right? And so you have to be out there, right? You got to be out there and available. You have to let people know what you're interested in. If I had never spoken to Bimbo, she would have never known my interests. She would have thought that I was, just one dimensional, but because she knew
Uh-huh.
my interests and things, she connected me to you or you to me, vice versa, or whatever. And I think that's very important too. Let people know what you're doing, what you're interested
Yes.
in, what
Yes.
you want to do. You just never know who has a connector or a different point of view, especially since now we're international. I think that's been the most beautiful thing. People don't even have to travel. I've always been a traveler, but for those people who don't travel, they can do the connections
Yes.
sometimes. And in less than a minute, what do you leave us with?
Thank you very, very much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
And I hope one day I get to collaborate on the project with you. Thank you.
I believe so. I
Yeah.
believe so. Maybe in Nigeria, maybe in UK, maybe in United States, New Orleans.
Yes.
But wherever we were, we'll definitely make that happen. Thank you so much, my guest, Lekan Babalola, and I'm Allegra Stuart. We are with the Artist Talk, Back to the Real, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.